It's just about 6:30. I got back from the office at my day job not too long ago, ate dinner, gave myself a bit of a pause before coming to sit and record this video because, to be completely honest with you, I'm tired. I'm just tired. That's how I feel most days after working a 9 to 5. And while I wish I could say that I come back to my apartment somersaulting and doing jumping jacks at the prospect of getting to film these videos, that's just not the case. Because no matter what you do, right, if you're doing something that drains your energy, it's going to have an effect on everything else. And the crazy part is, right, I'm not even doing anything super taxing, strenuous. I'm literally sitting at a desk, tapping away at a keyboard, staring at a screen, right? It's not like it's physical labor. It's not like I'm on my feet all day or constantly talking to people. I'm just sitting there, typing, moving my mouse. But the key is, it's meaningless to me, right? It's absolutely meaningless. And in that sense, it's even more strenuous, more taxing, more draining than anything else. Because when you're doing something that is just so unfulfilling and meaningless to you, it drains your battery faster than you realize, right? And the way I think about it, it's like if you're even plugged in, right? Plugged in from 9 to 5 or whatever else, it's going to eat away at your energy. And as much as you think that you're going to come back and suddenly be revitalized at the, flick of a switch, that's just not the case. And saying that, I'm just being very honest with you, right? As much as I do look forward to waking up and for those precious few hours in the morning getting to work on my creative work and whatnot, because that's when I have the most energy, to sit through the hours 9 to 5, even though I know I have this, right, this camera, this light at the end of the tunnel, it's not that easy. And when I reflect on where I'm at right now, it's a little different, but not all that much from a year and a half ago when I was working in investment banking. And I thought I would share a journal entry with you that I wrote on January 25th, 2022 at 8:29 in the morning that sort of captures this sentiment, and I believe the sentiment of so many people, whether they realize it or not. Not much to write home about yesterday, just a typical day at the job, which honestly doesn't sit very well with me. Being in an unsupportive, toxic, overworked culture. There's no point in doing that. Oh, hold on. Whoops. I meant January 27th. Yesterday. My gosh. Each of these past few days has really been Work really has an impact, as I spend practically my entire working day doing something that gives me no joy or fulfillment. I don't want to keep writing entries like this. Things have changed, right? I obviously quit that job. I took on this day job. I started my YouTube channel. I started writing, I started just living more authentically, right? But at the end of the day, there is still a large piece of my life, of my waking hours that I am typically the most energized, that I'm putting towards something that I don't give a shit about, frankly, right? Like, even on a just very simple basis, 9 to 5, 5 days a week, not even including commute times and all that, right? That's 40 hours of the prime hours of my waking day doing something that means nothing. And that saddens me, right? Because when I think about where I was a year ago or a year and a half ago and where I am now, right? Who's to say that things are that much different, right? And I say that because I'd be remiss if I allowed myself to go on like this for the rest of my life, for the rest of the prime years of my life, my youth. Because at the end of the day, if I were to continuing on, right, like that exercise where if you were to do exactly what you're doing now, where would you be in 5 years or what have you? And the prospect of just doing this, experiencing this for the next 5 years scares the hell out of me, right? If you told me that 5 years from now I'd still be just, you know, doing my creative work, what fulfills me, what lights me up, what enables me to make the most impact on the side as a side hustle, while showing up every day for a job that does nothing for me but pay the bills, which again, I'm incredibly grateful for, but I'm just being totally honest with you. That's not how I want my life to play out, right? I don't want to fast forward through my life and know how the story ends and know that in 5 years I'll be doing the same thing. I'll be experiencing the same sort of tiredness, jadedness, and fatigue that I experience now when I clock out at 5 o'clock or whatever, right? And I think a big thing that many people don't realize is that each day, right, how you live each day is how you live your life, right? It seems like it doesn't compare in the grand scheme of things, right? But it does. Because ultimately, each day you have is a reflection of what your values and priorities are. And those compound over time in either way, right? The more you prioritize your values early on, the more they'll compound into a life that you'll be proud of. But the more you cast them aside, the more you put them in the background, the more they'll compound in that way too, and the more regret you'll have later on. And I say this to say, I was thinking about this over the weekend, the long weekend here in the States. When I visited Chicago, I visited one of my coworkers, Caleb, who was actually on, I guess, my pseudo podcast the other day. And I sat down with his roommate and friend, who I can now call friend, Chris. And Chris is an absolutely brilliant guy. If you haven't seen the 2 past videos I released, sort of like mini podcasts, then I'd highly recommend, if you have a moment or you need some background chatter. But right now, he works as a chef. He works as a chef at this sort of American Filipino fusion restaurant. And by all means, right, it might seem on paper below someone of his stature or pedigree, right? The guy's got a degree from Brown University, which, you know, for those of you who aren't familiar, is an Ivy League, right? Is considered a prestigious university, a mark of potential. And you know, other people might look down upon or frown upon that. You know, that he's using this potential of his because he is brilliant. He's one of those guys who can do whatever he wants and be great at it. And he's choosing to work as a chef at a restaurant. But the thing is, and we talked about this during our conversation, he lives every day exactly the same. Every hour of his day, right? And in some cases, while I can try to claim the same, I'm not, right? Because like I said, from 9 to 5, 5 days a week, 40 hours, I'm just going through the motions. I don't really want to be there. No, I don't want to be there. But Chris, on the other hand, he loves cooking. He loves being a chef. He loves the environment he works in. The owners, Larry and Ruby, they're such lovely people. They were ribbing him the entire time whenever they would check in on us, because we went to brunch, a few of us, and they were all just so incredibly kind and warm. And as Chris said, he feels like he's genuinely friends with them. He's a part of their family, and work doesn't feel like work to him, right? Yes, he's, in stuffy, hot conditions, on his feet, constantly moving, constantly taking orders for food and whatnot. And yes, he's not making as much as he could be if he were in my position, or if he had pursued one of those prestigious careers that he's clearly capable of pursuing. But he comes home late at night in many cases, because that's the lifestyle of someone who works in the restaurant industry. But he's not fatigued, he's not jaded like I am. And that's the difference, right? Is that when you fill your hours with what really matters to you, what aligns with your values, what brings you joy, because for him, cooking not only brings him joy, but is a vessel for his purpose, your hours feel so much different. They feel so much fuller, and you don't end the day with that sort of drained feeling. You feel accomplished. You feel proud of what you did that day, who you were that day. And I honestly can't say the same, right? Because admittedly, like I was in investment banking a year ago, I would gladly fast forward through my days, through this chunk of time that eats up my week, that slowly drains me as I'm plugged in. I would fast forward through it all so that I can get back to this, to talking to you and whatnot. But at the same time, I don't want my life to be like that. I don't want my life to be this constant cycle of waking up, doing what I enjoy, fast forwarding through 8, 9, whatever hours, coming back tired, eating dinner, and trying my best to be creative, to talk to you when I know that I'm not at my best. Because when it comes to connecting with others, to connecting with you, to serving my purpose in life, you deserve my best, and I do too. Because when you think about life in the big picture, think about what I just said, right? When you fast forward through a day, and a day is a microcosm of your life, when you fast forward through your days, you fast forward through your life. And that's when you blink and you look back and you say, how did 5 years go by like that? I mean, shoot, it's June already. It's June. 5 months have already gone by just like that. And for so many people, they're saying, oh shit, what have I done? Like, I don't even remember the past 5 months. I don't even remember the past 5 years. And that scares me. And hopefully it scares you too. I don't know. So ultimately, only you really know how you're living each day. And only you can really ask yourself if it's really how you'd want it to look 5 years from now. And if the answer is no, if the answer is, gosh, I don't want my life to look the same in 5 years, much less 5 months, then it's time to start taking action. Taking action towards aligning and moving your life in a direction that's as close to your values and ideal life as possible. A life where you're able to wake up and feel energized throughout the entire day, not for only certain pockets. You're able to take time at a 1x speed, take it live as it comes, not fast forward or wish you could slow it down because you watched as it passed you by. So, all to say, these are just some thoughts of mine when I was admittedly quite tired and fatigued riding the train back from Manhattan. I definitely feel better now, having some food and some pudding in me. Maybe I was just low on sugar. Who knows? But talking to you definitely also lifted my spirits. But I just wanted to share that with you. And ultimately, I know that just like I wrote on January 27th, 2022, not only do I not want my life to go on like this, I won't allow it to. That is a contract, that is a promise I'm signing with myself and my heart and my soul. And maybe you will too. So, with that, thank you for listening, even in my tired state. I appreciate you all, and have an awesome day.